There was one image in particular that I really wanted to recreate. It's arguably one of the most iconic images out of Operation Enduring Freedom, Afghanistan. It's a guy named Sergeant William B, and the image is just him in his, camouflage utilities on, but he's got his blouse off and no flak jacket or anything, and he's behind a compound wall. And the photographer, Goran Tomasevic, he was a Reuters photographer at the time, just right place, right time, snapped like 4 or 5 frames as soon as the sniper grazed the position with the round. And there was just like an explosion of dust and rock and debris. And, just a little look on Sergeant B's face, just, oh, his rifle's all crazy. And I was like, I really wanted to make that image, and I did. They're not exact recreations of the original images, but spiritually, they're more or less the same because, some random person who's never seen, these toy photos before could look at this image and be like, hey, I know what that photo is, and they can reference it. And it was actually interesting when now Galactic Warfighters started to kind of pick up before the opening of the new Star Wars movie. I got an email from Sergeant William B. And he was like, hey man, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I was just wondering if that one photo that you made, is that me? And I was like, I mailed in response, I was like, yeah dude, that's you. Well, from the beginning, I would make these images and I would caption them, I would tell little stories. And I would caption these photos the same way that you would see like a photo of Marines or soldiers in a combat zone captioned from a wire surface, or even from the military itself, like that Associated Press style caption news writing. So with those elements combined, I was kind of essentially creating my own world within the Star Wars universe, and I was trying to ground it in reality. I've always been a massive fan of Star Wars, Aliens, Halo, just science fiction in general has always informed everything about my life since childhood. My grandmother introduced me to Star Wars when I was 4 years old, but Star Wars in particular has always been of really important note for me. It's particularly the militaries in Star Wars. The main characters of the film, like the hero's journey.
I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm here to rescue you.
It kind of paled in comparison to the way I perceived as a child, and even now, in this fictitious scientific world, how these militaries operate on this massive scale. And, since I've joined the military, it's kind of given me a little more perspective as to how it all works, but just the fleets, the stormtroopers, everything, Clone Wars, everything about the Star Wars universe militarily has just been really fascinating to me. But I'll have an idea for the image that I want to see in my head, and from start to finish, it could take 20 minutes or it could take 3 hours. It all depends. I work primarily with 6th scale figures. They're 12 inches. They're glorified G.I. Joes essentially. So setting them up oftentimes can be a huge pain in the ass. That probably accounts for the majority of the time it takes to make the image that I want. Yeah. So initially the project was called The Droids.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
It was an attempt at a play on like, these aren't the droids you're looking for, a famous Star Wars line from the Stormtroopers. But in the Star Wars universe, like the military's like, everyone's wearing helmets. It's very dehumanizing, and there's purpose to that. There was a point to that. When George Lucas was making his films, the bad guys, the foot soldiers of the enemy, they wanted to be devilish looking. They wanted to be faceless monsters to destroy.
2, 1, go.
So by telling these stories with Galactic Warfighters, I feel it helps to humanize these characters, and that in turn helps to, bridge a separation between the general public and what the military actually experiences in many ways.